Today we welcome one of my favourite cars back to the channel. It is a car with extensive damage. On that note, make sure before you buy your next car, you use Car Vertical. You get a Car Vertical report before you buy your next car. All you got to do is go and type in your registration plate into Car Vertical or the VIN number, and it will bring up a whole host of things that you may well not have known about. On the topic further of damaged Porsches, check out this Porsche Boxster. It had 2 sets of accident damage reported on it. All the pictures are there on Car Vertical, but you've also got mileage discrepancies and things like outstanding finance, recalls, previous plate changes, whether or not it's been exported, whether or not it's been stolen, all sorts of stuff that you really want to know before you buy a car and you otherwise would not know. Use my code on the screen to get a discount before you buy your next car. With that said, let's get on with the video.
Hello, and welcome back to GT3, and more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, I'm returning with good news. The GT3 RS is back on the channel. After an 8-month hiatus, the GT3 RS is back on the channel. I dropped this car off at RPM Technic in mid-December, and because I've been busy, I've been traveling, I told them to put it in a corner and work on it down the line, but the day has finally come that this thing is back in my possession and back on the channel. I'm absolutely buzzing. I love this car. She is back. I genuinely absolutely adore this car. However, today I am at Bicester because I've been filming with a Hurricane, you can just see right there, and an AMG GTR, which you'll see in the Historics Auctions YouTube channel with Vicky Butler Henderson. That's why I'm here today. However, the GT3 RS, I collected on the way to Bicester this morning because RPM Technic are not far from Bicester. I dropped off my 997 Turbo with them, which is going to have some surprises and some upgrades done. But speaking of upgrades then, let's go into what this car has had done to it, because I now deem this car to be pretty much perfect. So the car went in then with the issues that I highlighted before with the previous accident damage to the front end. It's had a whole new front end, and those that have missed those videos, you have to go back and check out all the boring detail on that. But the upshot is we now have a fully serviced car with pretty much a brand new front end on there. We've also got whole new dampers. I don't know if you can see that in there. We've got brand new KW Club Sports the whole way around with new top mounts. Everything is absolutely brand new. All the geometry has been done, and you also caught a little glimpse there. The reason I'm in this car today is because it's going to the British Motor Show. So we've actually just had full Bridgestone Potenza Sports fitted the whole way around with all geometry, wheel balancing and all that lovely stuff. Production guys from today, Historics. Toodle pip guys, many thanks. So that's been done. The car is actually on its way to the British Motor Show right now to go on the Bridgestone stand. So those tyres have just gone on. It's the first time I've driven it on the way here in 8 months. We've also got a new rear screen because the previous one delaminated, and believe it or not, even though that's only plastic, that was £6,000 or £7,000 from Porsche, but because it was damaged and I couldn't see through it anymore, I was actually able to claim that on my insurance, on my windscreen insurance, which was actually a stroke of luck really, because I did not fancy spending £6,000 on that. Also, we've upgraded the brakes. It's had new lines and pads put in and an overhaul of the brakes. And with those new dampers, it's been dropped ever so slightly. I don't know if you can see that. It's been dropped ever so slightly, but not too far off the stock ride height. I've specified that I want this for fast road use. And inside then, same story as normal. Nothing has changed in here at all, and we've obviously got the CarPlay upgrade that has gone in the PCM at 3.0 as well. Sexton's London did that for me. They're a great bunch, and it's literally just a software update. Behind the folding buckets here then, you will see the toolkit for my KW Club Sport. Don't quite know what you get in here, but absolute superstars. It is Rockstar suspension. There we go. We've got some kit as well to adjust them. Adjustability is not something we're going to get onto today, but that is something you can do with them. They are creme de la creme of suspension. And I know the kit for the Carrera GT is 25 grand, but pretty much every single guy in the Carrera GT owners group is doing that to their car. Although slightly spicy for my taste at the moment. I think I'm going to shut up and get in the car. Let's go. Let's fire up then. Lovely stuff. Of course, I've got the JCR exhaust on there. Pop the sport button on. let's then head out of Bicester Heritage and get ourselves to Farnborough Airport, where you can see this car and myself over the weekend at the British Motor Show with Bridgestone. Thank you, sir. So it was actually quite interesting to drive my 997 Turbo basically back to back with this. I dropped it at RPM and then headed straight out in this. And I had actually forgotten how visceral and engaging this car is. I remember thinking to myself, oh, the gearbox is exactly the same, but it really isn't. It doesn't feel the same at all. This is very, very tight and notchy. It just slots in with a bit of a thud. But the 997 gearbox is a little bit more silky smooth, and it's kind of a bit more of a gentrified affair. How does this feel then with the KW Club Sports over and above the stock suspension? It feels just a little bit more alert, a little bit more alive, slightly more involved through rough road surfaces, but actually overall on the move it's no less comfortable at all. At slow speeds it feels slightly stiffer, but actually on the move it feels just as compliant. Definitely inspires a lot more confidence, and the whole car just feels a lot tighter. That's obviously because the KW suspension that's just gone in is 2023 levels of tech, and the suspension that was in it was obviously developed pre-2010, so you're talking about 15 years worth pretty much of tech advancement over and above that in the new dampers, and also just brand new equipment going in. We've also had new arms and a kind of a new subframe at the front of the car, meaning that the slight bend in the car was sorted out. It drove straight, but that was definitely a factor that I'm sure, had I got the ability to drive properly and actually be able to assess cars properly, I'm sure I would have noticed it. It really is just the perfect sized car, and driving this once again has reinforced the fact that I really am not that fussed about my 992. Most of you have noticed I've done no content with that car. I've literally just dumped it in the Cotswolds with the Carrera GT, which is also stagnant. And I really don't want it anymore, I'll be honest. I was super lucky to get the car. I was absolutely pumped to get it. It was a bucket list moment for me, getting a GT car allocated to me, that I was able to spec, that I was able to take delivery of at list price, all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything for me. I genuinely don't. It's not that I don't like it. It's obviously an amazing car, but it didn't live up to what I thought it would be. And I actually prefer my brother's 991.2 GT3 to drive over and above that new generation, and I much prefer this to drive as a road car over and above the 992 generation. I'm sorry, I don't know who that's going to offend, if it's going to offend anyone at all, and I think anyone that's been in the position that's tried both and owned both actually agrees. So if you don't agree, try both if you can, and then please do come back to me. And I'm not slagging Porsche off. I love the brand, I love the cars, I love everything about it. I just don't think as a road car, that generation, for me, is ideal. And I know there are things you can do to improve them, but I just, yeah, 997 and 991.2, they're the generations for me. Sorry. What are we talking cost-wise for all the work that I've had done? I think the bill was circa kind of 10 grand, something like that. Maybe more actually. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of been in dribs and drabs over the past few months, so I actually don't know. But not insane money, and I think it's well worth spending money on these cars. The 997.1 GT3 RS was made in a production run of around 1,000 cars, which is a super low number if you think about it. There was 604 litres and everyone bangs on about them. So that's a rare car. A lot of them obviously now written off, so I'd imagine those numbers are probably like 800 maybe now. And these, LMA, and these were made in a production run of around 2,000 cars as well. So only a few more of these were made than that new ST that everyone's banging on about, that looks exactly the same as a Touring. This car is lighter than the ST, has a smaller footprint than the ST. To my mind, looks better than the ST. And as I said, there's about the same amount of them. Probably even less now, because I gather 200-300 of these have probably been written off by now, so this is probably a rarer car as well. It's also got a Mesca engine, unlike the ST. And the kicker, you can actually get one of these. These are sat around on the market, 160, 170, 180. The ST retail price is going to be, what, 230, 250, and on the overs market, they're going to be 400-500 grand. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. So, guess which one I'm rooting for. Day to day, to live with then, I mean, you would imagine this car is an absolute pig and you wouldn't want to drive it for more than 5 minutes around town. The clutch is very light, the steering's quite light, you do have to give it a bit of a shove to get it into gear, but because of the visibility and the size of the thing, it's not that stressful to drive around in. I've obviously done the CarPlay upgrade in it as well. It's pretty livable with, to be honest with you, and in fast road setting, the damper's not on stupid, horrible, harsh setting. It's pretty nice to live with, to be honest. And I think it's cool as well. I think there's just something so cool about this generation. Anyway, I'm absolutely buzzing to have the car back. I'm over the moon, and I make no secret, when I'm asked what my favourite car is, I obviously say the Carrera GT, but then when I say my favourite car to actually drive, use, and get out on a sunny afternoon with some time to myself, it's this. I've really, really missed it over the past 8 months, and I'm so glad to have it back. So, a brief visit back with it before it goes off to a car show, then I'll be getting it back. I've had a couple of people on the Lusso, one has failed the finance, and one I think financially couldn't do it in the end. So, as at the point I'm filming this video, I think the Lusso might still be available. Had a couple of time wasters, a couple of unfortunate people on it. If you are after the best Lusso in the UK, go to Joe Macari, because my one is for sale there, and this is what's going to take its spot in the garage. And I think the 997 Turbo, when that comes back, will live on the drive. Lovely stuff. It's funny how that happens though. All the cars I've been through over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I've ended up with 2 997s and an SLS. All of them I don't really ever want to sell. I've ended up with Carrera GT, I've ended up with a 912. You know, it's funny how these things land. I know they're not the best YouTube cars in the world, but it's funny how it all ends up and how I've actually ended up wanting those out of everything. It's odd. Enthusiast cars, I think, not clickbait cars, which is unfortunate considering what I do for a living. Anyway, for now then, I'm going to get to Farnborough Airport. I will see you at the British Motor Show with Bridgestone. Make sure you go and check out their stand and say hello to the car. Please don't kick the wing mirrors off. And I'll see you on another video very, very soon. As always, make sure you click the link in the pinned comment. It really helps support this channel. And of course, if the offer that I've mentioned even vaguely appeals to you, do get in the mix, because you can legitimately save some money with a fantastic, fantastic product. For now, guys, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!